Okay, so here's number 14. And just like I previously stated in that last video in part 1 of 2.2, I said you should get in the habit of trying direct substitution first thing, okay? So right from the beginning, try to directly substitute. You might save yourself some headaches, some trouble, if it works out with direct substitution. But in this case, it didn't. Okay, so this tells us that we need to check when we have a number over 0, that means that our limit, we have a vertical asymptote. So any number, in this case we happen to have 2, any number over 0 tells us that we have a vertical asymptote. Therefore, we need to check and see whether the limit approaches positive infinity or negative infinity. Okay? So, if we're approaching it from the left, okay, so x approaching 2 from the left side, we're talking about x values that are less than 2. Okay, so you might want to try 1.5. So we have 1.5 over 1.5 minus 2. We have positive 1.5 on top. And now this is going to be negative. Now see, I can stop here. I made sure that I put positive 1.5 here because technically we can stop here. I know that a positive over a negative is going to produce a negative. Therefore, this is going to be negative infinity. Okay, in this case, it's not too bad of a problem, or it's not too bad. It's not too hard to compute 1.5 minus 2. Okay, it happens to be negative 0.5, but we don't care. Okay, all we care is the sign, and because it's negative, it's approaching negative infinity. And it might be a good idea to get a little curious to see what that looks like graphically. You should take out you could take out your graphing calculator and graph it to see what it looks like. All right, how about horizontal asymptotes? The line y equals b is a horizontal asymptote of the graph of a function y equals f of x if either the limit of f of x as x approaches positive infinity is equal to b, or the limit of f of x as x approaches negative infinity is equal to b. Okay, and here's your examples. Now, the limit of 2 plus 1 over x as x approaches infinity, not too bad. This is going to be the limit of 2 as x approaches infinity plus the limit of 1 over x as x approaches infinity. Okay, now just like in my previous examples, the limit of 2 as x approaches infinity, well, this function 2 does not have a variable x, so x is not affecting it. X approaching infinity is not affecting this. Therefore, this is just 2 plus. Now, from Mr. Khan's video, that Khan Academy video that I had you guys watch during the weekend, you should see that this approaches 0. Okay? And you can think about just how he explained it. You can think of it this way. As x gets big, 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 the overall outcome is approaching 0. So let's say 1 over 100, and then 1 over 1,000, 1 over 10,000. Okay? 1 over 100,000. this thing's approaching 0. So the limit of 1 over x as x approaches infinity is 0. So we get 2. Okay, this is a horizontal asymptote. The function 2 plus 1 over x has a horizontal asymptote at 2 as x approaches positive infinity. Now let's look at the limit of 2 plus 1 over x as x approaches negative infinity. So the limit. Oh, and by the way, guys, make sure you are writing this limit part. Write the limit. I know it gets a little tedious, but write this limit part every single time until you have actually directly applied the limit. Okay? So you should be writing limit as x approaches negative infinity. Limit as x approaches negative infinity. Keep on writing it until you have officially applied the limit. Okay, once again, this is 2. So 2 plus 0. Okay, now again, x approaching negative infinity, okay, it's still gonna be 0. Okay, so it's the same idea. Okay, same idea, except now we're adding negatives here, negatives, negatives, negatives. What we're doing is we're just approaching 0 from the negative side. So in the number line, okay, we were approaching in part A, we were approaching 0 from the positive side. Now we're approaching with the negatives here, we're approaching 0 from the negative side. Okay, so we still get 2 here. Okay, and here's that curiosity I was talking to you guys about. You guys should get a little curious and want to see what that graph looks like. Neither of those is the graph. Here's the graph. Okay, so you can see that the limit, well, this function overall has a horizontal asymptote. We have a horizontal asymptote at 2, y equals 2. The limit of the function 2 plus 1 over x as x approaches positive infinity is equal to 2. You can see that here. The limit of 2 plus 1 over x as x approaches negative infinity is also equal to 2. Okay? Alright, I'm going to go ahead and stop here.